Hi everyone, and welcome to Lipstick on a Rig. Today we're going to be making this simple stretchy headband. And today we're going to be working with size 4 medium weight polyester yarn, and this is just the Lion Brand Yarns Respun, and this color is Parchment. And we'll also be using a size F or 5 or 3.75 millimeter crochet hook. And we're going to begin by attaching the yarn to our crochet hook using a slip knot, and then we're going to chain 22. And once you have your 22 chains in place, go ahead and turn them over so that you can access this back bump back here. Now this is not a regular part of what you would normally work in, of sort of this V. It is this third loop all the way in the back. And what we're going to do is we're going to skip our first 3 back bumps, and in that 4th back bump we're going to place a double crochet. Then we're going to place 1 double crochet in our following 2 back bumps. So now you should have your 3 double crochets. So what we're going to do is we're going to work backwards, and we're going to place a double crochet in the very last back bump that we skipped right here. And this one's going to be a little bit funky, so go ahead and yarn over and then insert your crochet hook in your back bump. Make sure you're working around your 3 double crochets. Yarn over and pull up through the back bump, and you really want to pull up through all the way until your crochet hook is sort of next to your last double crochet loop right here. And from here we're going to finish out our stitch, dropping 2 loops at a time like this. So you've now completed your first cable stitch. So to work your subsequent cable stitches, you're going to skip your next back bump right here and place 1 double crochet in the following 3 back bumps. And once you have your 3 double crochets in place, go back to your skipped back bump right here, and you're going to place a double crochet there. And now you are finishing up your second cable stitch. So go ahead and repeat that process going all the way down your row, and you should have a total of 5 cable stitches. And at the end of your row, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. So the pattern for this row is going to be to skip our chain 2 as well as our last double crochet stitch, or our first stitch for this row, and we're going to place 1 double crochet in our following 3 stitches. And once you have your 3 double crochets in place, then we're going to work back here in this first stitch, and this is the one that we skipped, and we're going to place a double crochet there. And this row will be significantly easier than the last row. And so now you've completed your first cable stitch of this row, and you can see here that your 2 sort of cables should point in together like this to form a V or sort of a U. So to place your subsequent cable stitches, you're going to skip your next stitch here, and you're going to place one double crochet in your next 3 stitches. And then working backwards in our skipped stitch, we're going to place a double crochet. And you can always check to make sure that you're working in the correct stitches because your cable stitches should be directly on top of each other. And if it doesn't look like these are forming a V, like maybe one's a little higher, then you are off on your stitches and that will affect your pattern. So just keep that in mind. You can always very easily visually check to make sure you're doing this correctly. So now we're just going to repeat the process of placing our cable stitches down our row, and at the end of this row we should have 5 cable stitches just like the previous row. And at the end of your row you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. And from here we're just going to repeat this last row over and over to build the body of our headband. So you're just going to want to crochet this until it gets to your desired width and fits comfortably around your head. And for me, this is roughly 20 inches, but it can vary depending on the size of the head of the person that you're making this for. And I went ahead and followed this pattern until I had a total of 38 rows of my cable stitch. So once you've gotten this to your desired width, make sure that you've ended your last row to where your crochet hook is on the opposite side of your starting tail. And we're going to fold our headband in half like this. And so what we're going to do is we're going to work on both sides of our headband to join these 2 edges together. So to do that, make sure you've placed your chain 1 at the end of your last row. And then we're going to insert our crochet hook up underneath the full last stitch. And then working in our first row, we're going to insert our crochet hook up underneath the full last stitch. And this stitch can be pretty tight, so just keep that in mind. Once you have your crochet hook up underneath your 2 full stitches, then you're just going to yarn over and drop all the loops for a slip stitch. And we're just going to repeat that process for every stitch in our row. And we're just going to be working in these corresponding stitches on both sides. And at the end of your row, your 2 sides of your headband should be fully joined. So now we're just going to cut and tie off our yarn. And from here, I like to hide my starting and ending tails up this side of my ridge before I turn it inside out. And when you turn your headband inside out, it should look something like this. Please let me know in the comments below if you experienced any issues while you were making this, and I will do my best to help you out. If this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, Lipstick on a Rig. Thank you so much for working with me, and I hope you have a wonderful, awesome day.